Probably the biggest domino in the transfer portal has just fallen. Let's talk about Dante Moore, where he could be headed, and a player that may be attached to his landing spot. I'll explain more right after the stinger. It's Felix Sharpe at Sharpe Review on Twitter for CampusToCanton.com. If you like this video, if you like the content that we've been putting out here recently, then go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel. Listen, it's just you and I here. We're not supported by CBS or 24/7 Sports or On3. It's just you and I trying to grow this channel, trying to grow this fantasy football format. So do me a favor, like the video, help us grow. And if you haven't checked out CampusToCanton.com, you need to. Basically what Campus to Canton is a fantasy football format and the website supporting that format. You have a college team and an NFL team, and when your college players declare for the NFL draft, they're added to your NFL roster. I probably explained that entirely too quickly because I'm very excited about this news that Dante Moore has entered the transfer portal. Dante Moore from Detroit King, who I got to see at the Massillon, Ohio Elite 11 event, 2 years ago now. If you are a casual college football fan, you may not have realized that last year's freshman class was one of the more highly touted classes we've seen in some time. There were 5 guys who we were kind of all head over heels for. Dante Moore was one, Arch Manning, Nico Iamaleava, Malachi Nelson, and Jackson Arnold there at Oklahoma. All 5 of these guys are absolute ballers. Now, let's talk a little bit about Dante Moore's recruiting journey and where he was headed before we get to him entering the transfer portal. Dante Moore had been a longtime commit of Oregon. That was based on his connection and relationship with Kenny Dillingham. Kenny Dillingham now at Arizona State, the head coach there, and that's not going to be before we get to where he could land, Kenny Dillingham ends up at Arizona State. Dante Moore changes his commitment. He ends up at UCLA. Now, if you remember, it doesn't seem like Chip Kelly knew that he was getting Dante Moore because he had recruited Colin Schlee from Kent State. Colin Schlee, it looked like, had been in the to be a candidate to compete for the starting job there, especially if you consider what Sean Lewis ran at Kent State and what Chip Kelly runs at UCLA. Anyway, Kenny Dillingham ends up at Arizona State. Dante Moore goes to UCLA. And after one season, now, we saw some flashes from Dante Moore early on, but Chip Kelly didn't rock with him or continue to stay with him when he struggled, had some freshman struggles, threw some pick sixes, wasn't seeing things well. But still, as a company, we thought that he was the most game-ready player of those 5 highly touted freshman, the most ready to go in and compete for the starting job immediately. And he essentially did that, beating out Ethan Garbers and Colin Schlee before Ethan Garbers ended up taking the job from him. We're still very, very high on Dante Moore. He's a guy that can, more than anything, it's his mind. It's his ability to make anticipatory throws. His physical tools are great, but I think the thing that sets him apart is really that ability to process the game. Now, again, he went through that streak of games this year where he was throwing pick sixes. That would lead you to think that he didn't have that ability. I still think he does. All right, so he enters the transfer portal today. Obviously, he's from Michigan. Where could he land? I don't think Michigan is an option. I don't think that offense supports kind of what it is that he does. Oregon, could he go back to Dan Lanning? After Bo Nix leaves, you got Austin Novosad there, Ty Thompson. Could you add Dante Moore to that mix? I think Dante Moore would be the best option out of those guys. And again, you got Oregon coming to the Big Ten. So he's going to be making those trips to play Ohio State and Michigan State to be closer to where he's from in Detroit. Could Michigan State be an option? No, I don't think so. He's not going to that type of program there with Jonathan Smith. But I think a dark horse candidate, if Dante Moore wants to be closer to home, could be Ohio State. We saw what Kyle McCord did this year, or what he didn't do. That offense didn't look as explosive as it had in years past. Could Ohio State be a landing spot for him? Ryan Day went to the transfer portal before and got a highly touted 5-star in Justin Fields from Georgia. Could he do it again and get Dante Moore? I'm trying to figure out what I can say here and what I can't say. I got some information earlier today, before Dante Moore entered the transfer portal, that that announcement would be made. I understand that he wants to be closer to home and that there could be a wide receiver from the same area that he could be tethered to that's in the transfer portal now. Maybe you can let me know in the comments who you think that player is and what do you think and who do you think the landing spot, or I can't even talk today because I'm so excited. Where do you think he should land? Again, help us grow this channel, help us grow this fantasy football format, and I appreciate all of your support. We're trying to get to 3,000. Peace.